This is a perfect example of when the hunter becomes the hunted. I mean, what we've been watching the whole time from the show is actually not what the show was really about, which comes as no shock because it's the weirdest show I've ever watched, or it might be the worst show that HBO has ever released. I don't know where this lands, but I watched the final episode, which is titled Jocelyn Forever, and it ends on a very weird note. I'm still surprised though. It was structured as having 6 episodes, and we ended up just getting 5. Now, I don't know, guys. Maybe HBO pulled the plug a little early on the show, but everything pointed towards 6 episodes, and it just ends abruptly. I mean, it ends where you can be like, okay, I didn't see that coming. But I mean, like I said in my previous review of episode 4, like, what is the point? I mean, you take us through this entire journey, controversy, everything is just like, wow, what's happening here? And then it ends up turning into the victim was actually turning everybody else into a victim. And what I mean about this is, I mean, I've talked about The Weeknd playing Tedros, which I made out to be the villain of the year. I mean, like, this guy was vile, disgusting. He was all that wrapped into one. And then only to figure out that he gets turned into the lapdog at the end of the season. I mean, I didn't see that coming. And there wasn't even enough time to build a plot around that happening. It just happens like that. I mean, if you look at the last episode, he had a little bit of a breakdown at the end, but I mean, this episode starts off and is like a mess. He's a hot mess. I mean, like, he's sweating, he's not taking, it just looks horrible. And then only to find out that Jocelyn has been using this guy all along. She has literally used this guy to be her muse. Where he was under the impression that he's running the show, she was literally just playing along. And I don't know what to think about it. I don't know what to think about that sudden shift. In my years of watching television, you need a build up. You can't just have a shift happen like that in the course of such a short amount of time. I mean, why not let this be an 8 episode season where you could have put more things into place where it makes the show feel more organic and it feels like there's a payoff at the end. Now it just feels like it just was, there we go. It was stylized as this type of show, and then it ended up being this type of show without really having a mid point where you can be like, okay, this is where everything came together. I mean, there's so many plot lines that were laid out over the show, and none of them actually mean anything. I mean, the whole thing with Diane taking over Jocelyn Single and on her way to become the new pop star, that just falls flat. Nikki pulls the plug on everything. I mean, Xander's whole thing, he was a character that I feel wasn't explored a lot. And then there's this huge showcase of everybody singing a song, and then like the tour is back on just like that. And what, I mean, even Rob, like Jocelyn's movie star boyfriend, he showed up at the end of the last episode, and this episode you don't even get to see him, but now there's this rape charges and his whole career is a mess, and everybody's like, oh, okay, that's fine. And I'm like, what's happening here, guys? Even the way they structure the whole thing of getting rid of Tedros. I mean, first they offer him money, then he drives off, and then he comes back, he's back into the show. I'm like, what is going on here, guys? Even the whole hairbrush thing was made up. So Jocelyn is the mastermind behind everything that has been happening. Didn't see it coming, but that's what it is, guys. She is the mastermind. She got a tour back up and running, and the manner in which she does it is who's really the villain. Yeah, she might be the villain. She might be the main antagonist now because of how everything ended. I really wish that the story could have been more flushed out, and there was that opportunity to make it something bigger and something meaningful. But I feel that Sam Levinson completely missed that opportunity. And that's the show we got, guys. Some will say it's the worst show of the year. I think I'm still just wrapping my head around the 5 weeks that I watched this, where I was expecting something and I never got that. One thing that's fantastic that I did get from the show was the soundtrack. The Weekend never fails to deliver. The soundtrack is absolutely incredible. That is a standout of the show. And it's a very forgettable TV show. It's not something that will remain in my memory. Something that I already forgot that I watched that episode. And I really don't know what to make of this, guys. This has literally been the weirdest TV show that I had to review. Because the 1 week you're like, wow, okay, now we're getting going. It's going somewhere. The next week you're like, ah, what is this? So it's all over the place. It's up and down. It doesn't, it's weird. It's just a weird show. That's what I can say. It's like, I really don't know what Sam Levinson was thinking when he made this show, when he went into this. So Jocelyn Forever, she's the mastermind. She is the puppet master. She controlled everything and put everything in place exactly the way she wanted it to be. Cinematography in the show is amazing. I think it's beautifully shot. It has that 70s paranoia vintage feel to it, and I love that. But as for the story and the plot, there's not a lot there, guys. If you guys missed the show, it's not something I would recommend that you guys go out and watch. It's not one of those shows, guys. It's one of those shows that I watched it, I stuck with it, and it didn't work. It was an experiment that didn't work. HBO, it's very rare that I say HBO has made a bad TV show, and I think with this, they have made a bad TV show. And that's what it is, guys. That's my thought on The Idol. That's, I don't know. I really don't know. I think that's what I can say at this current moment. I don't know. What was this? What was it about? Like, that's it, guys. I'll catch you on the next one.